Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. This is Brownsugar Commentary, and I'm your girl, Kayla. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe for more videos. Okay, let's get right into it. So today I want to have a conversation about Versuz and kind of like where it's going, my thoughts, opinions, all that good stuff on it. And this kind of comes after the long anticipated Keisha Cole versus Ashanti battle that happened tonight, or yesterday by the time you guys watch this. And kind of like, I felt like this whole thing strayed so far from what the original intent was that now we're kind of so far gone that like it's not even fun or enjoyable as it once was. Have a conversation surrounding that. So first things first, I guess I'll give my quick thoughts and opinions about the Keisha Cole and Ashanti battle, right? Well, first we had to wait an entire month for this to happen, right? It's been over a month since the first Versuz was supposed to happen. It was supposed to be in person, I believe in Atlanta. Then they found that Ashanti tested positive for COVID, so obviously to be safe, they decided to postpone it. And I guess they were kind of going back and forth as to whether they should do it in person or just do it on Instagram Live. COVID has not gotten better in the past month. I know like places like even in LA, like things are really bad. So I guess they opted for the Instagram Live, and that's what we had tonight. And it was real weird. I mean, it said it started at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. However, things really didn't get started till well over about, I think 9:30 is when things officially got started. So that's an issue. And then like the energy was kind of weird, and it was kind of like I didn't understand why. It's like Brandy and Monica, I can see that. Jeezy and Gucci Mane, that makes sense. But none of this made sense because I thought, Ashanti and Keisha were good. So the energy just seemed to be off. Keisha kept getting up out of her seat, child, every time Ashanti's was playing her music. Ashanti was on her phone when Keisha was playing her music. It was just a whole lot of whatever. I think a lot of us was kind of over it because of this anticipation kind of, everything just kind of just boiled down to everyone kind of feeling irritated because we're like, we waited for so long for this. It started late. Like the energy, the vibe's not there. Like it wasn't as enjoyable as other Versuz have been, which caused me to have this conversation. Because if we go back to the original Versuz, right, this was something artists were doing to just lighten the mood, something for us to do because we were bored in quarantine. We can't have concerts. We can't engage with music as we usually would in a normal year. And they said, you know what? Because a lot of people were doing stuff. Like there was DJ, I think his name was it D-Nice, who was having those like little concerts. There was that short man who will not be mentioned, having his little quarantine radio and whatnot. So like Instagram Lives were becoming increasingly popular. And so, a lot of artists started to come together and, do a little cute little battle, little appreciation room. Because that's essentially what Versuz is for, right? It's really just two artists, songwriters, producers, whatever, their connection to the music industry is, playing their greatest hits, and they're just kind of coming together and appreciate what each other has contributed to the music industry. So I have the Wikipedia page. I know Wikipedia isn't like the most soundproof place to like look for things, but it's the only place that has the list of all of the Versuz battles and whatnot. And so according to Wikipedia, the very first Versuz battle was with Swizz Beatz and Timbaland. They broke it up because according to them, they have season 1 and season 2. And so the very first one was Swizz Beatz and Timbaland. And I think it wasn't anything formal. It was just them literally just playing all the songs that they produced. They're both very well-known producers and things like that. So people were just vibing and having a good time. And then, one of the most notable ones was the Dream and Sean Garrett, which was just hilarious, okay? Sean Garrett was really he's great for entertainment, I'll give you that, but it was amazing. I think that the songwriters and the producer ones were some of the best Versuz because they, like with producers, you really don't know a lot of them. Like you may have heard their name, you may have heard their taglines, but some people you really don't know, like you really don't be knowing like they produced a certain song, like a hit. I mean, like, there's certain things, like, let's say for, like, Pharrell or even Timberland, like, you know when you hear a Pharrell record or produced record or a Timberland, because there's something signature. There's the type of beats they use, um, you know, the type of samples that they may use. It really just depends. And that's not to say like all their songs sound the same. It's just there's certain elements to it. A Pharrell or Timberland produced records that you know right offhand, oh, Timberland produced this. Sometimes they're really skilled in kind of hiding it. But for the most part, you know when they made a certain song. But songwriters are also really dope at this because, you know, sometimes another time where, especially if they're not actual like musical artists, you really don't know who wrote what song. Once again, you kind of know certain people's songwriting because there's certain things that like a certain flow to the way that they write their songs. Like a Babyface, like most of the time, anytime someone's like, oh, Babyface wrote this song, it usually doesn't shock me. And once again, that's not to be like discrediting Babyface or anything. It's just there's a certain like element, something, a certain like flavor, if you will, certain whatever originality to a Babyface record that I know a Babyface record, written record, when I hear it. But those are like the fun times, right? Like Neo and Jonta was really exciting to hear, especially what I loved about the earlier Versuz battles with that there were stories behind them. People would talk about how they came up with the song or how they got it in the hands of a particular artist, or just like, you know, having a good, just the vibes were just there. Like I said, Neo and Jonta, it just seemed like a appreciation type of deal where both of them were both like complimenting each other. You can see them vibing off of the songs that each of the men made or whatever. And then, you know, you had then the technical difficulties, like it's something about people just struggling to find out their Wi-Fi is just so refreshing. Like Teddy Riley and who is it? Teddy Riley and Babyface. And Babyface was just having a good old time with his little glass, just living and basking in it. And Teddy Riley was trying to like show off. And he was having all the technical difficulties in the world. Like the memes that come out of it was just great. And then Erykah Badu and Jill Scott, I think that is also one of the most vibiest to come out of the entire Versuz. Just two queens, just really that did the damn thing in terms of neo soul, appreciating, loving on each other. I felt healed after watching it. You know what I mean? I think Nelly also had bad like Wi-Fi as well. But then around Beanie Man and Bounty Killer, two amazing, you know, dance hall Jamaican artists. I think that was the first in-person one, I want to say, because after a while, like I said, at first this was like in good fun, right? No money was involved, no sponsorships involved. It was literally, you know, people were bored in quarantine, wanted to play their music, have a good time. Because like I said, Black people do this all the time. Black Twitter, we do this all the time. We'll, you know, say one gotta go, or we'll do the whole hit for hit, like who would you want to see in a hit for hit battle? And, you know, people were, like I said, bored in quarantine, decided, you know what, let's just play some of our records, go back and forth. Like I said, it's not a matter of who is best or who, you know, nobody really wins these things. It's just like the culture kind of just decides, like, oh, like you pick a side. It's like in anything in life, right? Basketball, football, like whatever. You're like, oh, I'm on this side. I want to do whatever. I want to root for this person. But at the end of the day, Versuz, there's no winner. It's literally just people just playing their music and we just having a good time, feeling nostalgic, you know what I mean, just vibing with each other. Because the real treat about these things are like Black Twitter and everyone's responses and how they feel, or the comments during the lives. But as traction grew for these Instagram lives, the word spread around. You know, they seen how many people were watching. If you look, like I said, on Wikipedia, you see as Versuz started to gain traction, more and more people watch. Because the Swiss Beats and Timberland one had over 22,000 people. But then when you look at the Jagged Edge versus 112 one, which is another one of the more look at that Bounty Killer and Beanie Man's Versuz had over 500,000 people, right? So it was getting popular, it was getting traction, and so Swiss Beats and Timberland, I think, partnered up with Apple Music to, you know, make it more official, right? So as time went on, they gave people like their little kits, so that the sound production was good. I guess their Wi-Fi was good. And I think there was even as early as I think Nelly and Ludacris maybe was like, or maybe I think maybe it was Teddy Riley Babyface was the one that was like official. I'm not sure, But then by the time we get to, like I said, and Bounty Killer, by the time we get to that, we see like it's a more like commercial, more set up, whatever you want to call it. You know, now we have equipment going on. Now we have, you know, a stage. Now it's like a DJ's present. Like it's a whole production type deal. Right? And then we had the second half. The season 2 is what they call it. We had Kirk Franklin versus Fred Hammond, Alicia Keys, John Legend, Fabulous Jadakiss, DMX, Snoop Dogg, Rick Ross and 2 Chainz, Brandy and Monica, Gladys Knight, and Patti LaBelle. And then with these two, then we have another season 2. We have Jeezy and Gucci Mane, E40 and Too Short, and now Ashanti and Keisha Cole. But I know for each, I guess, Versus happens, you see it's getting more and more like production. You see product placement of things like Ciroc, and Doritos. That was a big thing tonight, like a whole Doritos sponsorship. And so my point, I guess, is with these things. While some of these were enjoyable, like personally, I liked Brandy and Monica because I love Brandy. Gladys Knight and Patti LaBelle was also really refreshing, especially, you know, the little surprises like bringing out Miss Dionne Warwick, my queen. Okay, these are really just refreshing and fun moments. And even like with Gucci Mane and Young Jeezy, those were like really fun because we know like the history and like the battle of like Atlanta rap. And they're good for the culture because, like I said, we all come together, we go on social media, we kiki, we make memes. Like, you never know what's going to happen. Like, on Keisha Cole, one of the highlights of tonight was Keisha Cole bringing out OT Genesis for Love. And we all know, like last year at some point, or a year before, when OT Genesis made that like Crip parody of Love, and we thought, and Keisha wasn't here for it, and she was trying to get like his version removed off of YouTube. So to see them come together and like, you know, they buried the hatchet, and to come together and have a little kiki was really funny. And, you know, I think it probably would have been funnier if, you know, they were like, everyone was in person. But at the end of the day, it's not meant for that. You know what I mean? Like, Versus wasn't intended to be this commercial thing. It was supposed to be this fun, lighthearted thing where legends are coming together to just play their music because, you know, you hear these songs, you feel nostalgic. Like, you remember when you were, you know, whatever age you were, whatever part, you know, at parties, or, you know, your mixtapes you made at school, or the school dances, or wherever, you know, you engage with this music, you feel nostalgic and you're happy about it, and you just like to see, you know, two of your faves come together, because that's not something we see all the time, especially during these times where there's not, like, award shows aren't really the same, there's no concerts, there's no real, you know, performances. And so for this is like kind of our only like limited entertainment. So it's fun, right? But now, like I said, honestly, they should have just kept it at the house. Like, technical difficulties at all, that's not really what it's about. It's not really about them performing or like anything. That it was just us vibing, having a good time. And capitalism always wins, I guess, because I don't like that. Like, I just think it's really whack that people really just saw something that was in good fun and decided to make this into this corporate commercialized thing, because that's what it really was. Like, all this product placement, it's just really whack. Like, yes, I think it's cool that, you know, there was multiple ways to stream this event. Like, it didn't have to just be Instagram. People could watch it on YouTube, people could watch it on Apple Music, but at the same time, it lost that flair and that fun that we got out of it. And like I said, the vibes are not even there. Like, it's just not there, because it's either like this weird energy or people are just upset. I think with Keisha, I think she was just upset because, I mean, they rescheduled this thing over like 3 times at this point, and really, not to be shady towards Ashanti, but it's Ashanti's fault why they didn't have it the first time. But like I said, it wouldn't have mattered if she had COVID or not if they were at home, because they're at home. I mean, unless she's sick and she can't, you know, like, whatever, you know, and I'm glad that she was able to pull through. But, you know, if they were at home, this wouldn't, from the beginning, like, this wouldn't really be a thing. They could just play their music, have a good time, and whatever. And to me, I didn't really understand the matching with Keisha and Ashanti. I feel like they kind of like missed each other by like a slight hair. Like, I feel like, and in terms of like discography, I think that Keisha's discography is a little bit more expansive than Ashanti's. And I like Ashanti. I think Ashanti got some bops on her, but I think Keisha, like tonight, or like since this whole like Versus thing started, I realized I'm a really big Keisha Cole fan. Like, I really love Keisha Cole's music. I think her first three albums are amazing, and even like her later albums, like Woman to Woman, slaps from top to bottom. It's very underrated. Really amazing album. I don't think that Keisha really chose the best songs, or she didn't. I don't think she really structured the songs that she chose to play really well, in my opinion. There are some bops she surely missed. Okay, Love, I Thought You Had My Back. What's the other one? I Just Want It to Be Over. I Ain't Through. Like, come on. Falling Out. We didn't play Falling Out. Like, no. I was upset. I was like, Keisha, girl, you should have called me. You should have called me, because I would have told you what song to play, what we matching up. Like, you know what I mean? But I just felt like the vibes were just off, and it's just not enjoyable. I don't think, if there is another Versus, I don't know who would be at this point. But like, I'm good on it. I just rather just see social media and people posted the highlights. Whoever is next, it would have to be an artist I really enjoy, but at this point, like, I'm just kind of over it. I think y'all took a good thing and tried to capitalize off of it and make a quick buck, and that's really whack. I mean, no shade to Swiss Beats or Timbaland. They're amazing, and I see what the intent was. But at the end of the day, this was intended to be a good, fun thing for us to help us get through quarantine and encourage people, stay home and all that stuff. And instead, y'all kind of made this into this commercialized thing. And I don't think it's fun anymore. It's like, I'm kind of over it. But, let me know what you guys think about the Versus. Do you think that it should return to being in person? Or do you think that it should stay the IG Live format like it was in the beginning? Do you think that them moving towards becoming more commercialized and partnering with Apple Music, did it help or hinder, the whole thing? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know some of your favorite Versus moments in the comments. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll definitely see y'all in my next video. Peace out, y'all.